So this is Tuesday Talks at 10:30, and I am evidential medium Stacy Niedenthal. And I come to you every Tuesday at 10:30, and we just talk about stuff. Whether we're talking about meditations or grief, coming back home, things to do for your own well-being and your spiritual health. This is that time where we gather together, and this is what we talk about. Hi, Lisa. Yes, long time no see. Good morning. So we're going to do that again. I don't have the events in front of me. I'm at Denise's house, and we are doing readings here in Bel Air, Maryland. And I'll be back in November. I'm not going to be here in October because of the women's retreat, but a lot of things are happening, and so we're just gonna sit and chat, grab your tea or your coffee or your soda or whatever it is, and sit down and let's chat for a bit. So if this is the first time you've been on, welcome. Put a 1 so I know that it's the first time, so that I can personally welcome you after. Feel free to share this page, this segment, if it resonates with you that someone else needs to hear about it. But we are going to talk about quite a few things today. So I was driving yesterday to Bel Air from Chambersburg. It's about a 2-hour drive. And I was listening to podcasts. And I've just recently gotten hooked on a few different speakers with podcasts, and I just, I love to listen to music, but when I'm in my car, sometimes I want to listen to someone teaching me about something. They've got my undivided attention. Phone's not ringing most of the cases, and I'm a constant student. I am a constant learner. When I was at Omega, I don't know if it's been a month, maybe 3 weeks ago, I bought 15 books. I've already read 6 of them. And I think maybe one of the things we're going to start doing too is talk about spiritual books and what they mean to you. I think that would be a cool topic or a cool circle to have. So if you're wondering about events, things that we have coming up, look at our events. Look on my page and you'll see the website. Also, will have the different events that are coming up. So if there's something that you're interested in, check out the website. So like I started to say, yesterday I was listening to a podcast while I was driving here, and I can't remember who the podcast host was, which I'm sorry about that, but they were talking to Kim Russo, who is an evidential medium, and she does psychic investigations and things like that, and they were talking about different ways to view the world. And they were talking about opening up your light, opening up your connection with consciousness, with your higher self, with getting rid of, I don't really want to say the darkness within you, but the heaviness that's within you. And one of the things that struck me was something that Kim had said, and then the host, oh, there we go. I thought I went away for a minute. And then the host said, oh, that's a quote by Rumi. So I looked up the quote, and it says, the wound is the place where the light enters. And that really got me thinking. It really resonated with me. How true that is that the wound is where the light enters. Think about if you fall down, you scratch your arm, or, skin up your knee. Like, yes, there's the wound there, but then new skin heals it. It's where all the attention is for healing, right there at that particular wound. And I wanted to talk about that because the way when I looked at the quote that Rumi had, then I looked to see what he meant by that. I mean, I know what my take on it is, but the way that it's described is that the pain can help you to recognize what is truly important. And that we mourn the things that we deeply love. It can guide us to discover the highest truths, which I think is very true. When you think about a wound, when you think about a pain, where that pain is, that's where we put our attention to. So if you've broken your arm, where's your attention? On your arm. You're being gentle with your arm. You're taking medications, you're doing physical therapy. Where the wound is, that's where our attention is. It guides us to discover the highest truths of ourselves. Others say that through suffering, it's like a fire that cleanses and purifies. So, you skin up your knee, it hurts, that's the fire. The new skin comes in, we wash it, we take care of it, maybe put Neosporin on it, but we are purifying and cleansing it. Similar to how if you have a piece of coal that's under enough pressure, you get a diamond, right? So when you look at the wound and you visualize the wound and you know that that's where the problem is, that's where all your attention is. So that's what we're taking care of. You're bringing light to that particular area. So the wound basically is the starting place of regrowth and replenishment within the soul. So when you think about wounds and traumas and grief and things that you have gone through, you go back to that as a starting space where that trauma happened in order to heal it, what your thought process is about this particular instance to heal it. And in referencing it and looking up the meaning behind it, I found that Switchfoot wrote a song about letting the light in. And I just want to talk about some of the lyrics. It says, "Don't hide your wounds. The wound is where the light shines through," right? So don't hide it, let it out, be vulnerable. So if this is an internal wound within yourself, it's maybe you need to speak to someone about it. Where in another verse said, or another lyric said, you are the same, but the version of you is different. So again, we think about grief, we're the same person, but we're not. We're a different version. It speaks about embracing the truth about humanity. A lot of things are going on right now. I don't know how many times I've said to my husband, to Denise just a little bit ago, "Oh my gosh, what's this person thinking? Let's just be kind. Let's be human. Why would we do this? Why would someone do this?" So it speaks about embracing the truth. So unfortunately, the world, there are good and there are bad people in the world. You need to choose to be the good, the kind, to help others heal their wounds, to help bring the light in. And the other lyric said, "The darkness has the brightest shining stars." And it just kind of took me back to when my husband and I were traveling and we were in New Mexico. And I'm not sure where we were at. I think we were in Santa Fe, but I'm not sure. And it was so dark out. And the stars just seemed like they were so close and so bright. So even in the darkest night, the light can still shine through. It's paying attention to it. It's going to the place where the wound is and letting the light in. So it's going to the darkness and bringing in the light. So to me, it's so true about the pain brings truth. You have a problem with the relationship with someone and all of a sudden you see the truth in that relationship. Maybe they weren't the person that you thought that they were. But it wakes you up, it teaches you a lesson, and it shines that light within yourself to either say, "I don't need to deal with this, I can be a better person without this," or "I can help shine the light on this person." All right? You feel like when trauma happens, when grief happens, when a wound happens, it's like you slow down. You feel like you're in slow motion. When my mom passed, everything was like in slow motion. Talking to people and the cards that came in and everything was in slow motion. And I vaguely remember a lot of it. Vaguely. Of how we went from this point to, I don't remember it. But what I do remember are those shining moments of friends or family members saying something in particular to me that brought light to it. And if you've read my book, My Head Knows But My Heart Still Hurts, when I was talking about my mother's funeral, I don't have a lot of patience for a lot of people when I am in distress, but I put on a smile and I try. And I'm thinking to myself, how many people do I need to hug until this is over, that I can sit down and we can continue with what needs to be done? Even though I didn't want it to be done, I didn't want that to happen, the whole thing. And my uncle, this tall, slim man that of course I've known all my life, hardworking man, farmer all of his life. He wasn't a gruff person, but he was a strong person. And all he did was walk over to me and look me eye to eye, and he touched his heart and he said, all he had to say. And that was my light in a dark moment. My uncle going, touching his heart and saying, So I wanted you to think about the different lights that have come into your life during a time where you felt wounded, or you felt trauma, or you felt grief. And, grief and loss is a pain like no others. We all grieve differently. We all have different ways of coping with it. But maybe because there is no warning that it is coming, and even if you're prepared, you're not prepared, because bam, right there it is. It rolls over you. This grief just hits you out of nowhere. But I think that when Rumi talks about the wound is the place where the light enters, you start to think about different moments in your life with a particular person that maybe you've lost, that has passed. And you think of those moments with tears in your eyes, but also a smile in your heart, because they touched you so deeply. And I think we all heal in different ways, and we all grow in different ways. When I think about some of the traumas that I've been through, and I'm not just talking about the loss of loved ones, but some of the traumatic events that happened to me in my life, and we've all had different traumatic events, some, worse than others, but it doesn't compare to any others because it happened to you. And when I think about some of these things that I've been through, the light is that I've learned and I've grown and I've talked about it to hopefully help others cope with things like this. But the light in all of this was that I survived it. I walked through it. I am not a victim. I'm a survivor. So to me, that's the light, the different perspective that I had created within my mind, because for a long time, my self-confidence was down because of something that I had been through. I didn't think I was worthy of anything or anyone. I thought I was a piece of crap that had done all these horrible things. And, when I step back and look at them, I do have regrets about some of the things. However, I can't get stuck in that regret because I made the right decision at that time and I learned from it. Some of those things I will never ever do again. And we've all gone through this. We've gotten wounded, because of things that we've done to ourselves and things that we do to ourselves. We have regrets about maybe words that we've said to people. But maybe those words needed to be said. Maybe they could have been said in a different way. So, rounding all of this up, when I think about the light on the wounds, right? Like that's the starting point. That's where things begin. When you have to peel back all those layers and start with the bare necessities, the bare skin. You skin up your knee down to the shin, you're starting from the bone. And yes, it hurts like a mother, but you pay attention to it, you cleanse it, you put light into that because that's where you're focused, and it heals. And you may have a scar as a reminder, but you heal. So, when I'm thinking about all of this, like this light bulb switched on, that this is kind of why I created the Only a Whisper Away Women's Retreat that we are hosting in October in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I wanted to think back to myself, why Why did I think that it was necessary to do this? And I'm looking at a group of, and eventually I'll figure out how to do co-ed, but right now this is the first one, so it's just a women's retreat. But when we come together in a circle, we learn a sisterhood and we connect with each other, or we learn a brotherhood. We're connecting with each other. We are seeing each other's darkness and helping turn on the light switch so that light can come in. In this circle, you venture hand in hand, supporting each other, making new friendships, allowing yourself to be that safe space for others, and also knowing this is a safe space for you. And that we connect with each other. And I don't want to say that we're comparing wounds, but we're listening, welcoming the light to where the wound is. Sometimes just being an ear for someone who is in pain is letting that light in. When I was listening to another podcast, and they were saying, how to make your life better. And one of the steps was to stop talking. And it didn't mean to stop talking in general. It meant that if someone is speaking to you about something, listen. Maybe they don't want your advice. Maybe they just need a listening ear. So in the retreat, in a circle, in a group of friends, you gather together and you embrace each other to help heal the light and help grow. Right? That takes me back to that quote where it was said, the wound is the place where the light enters. That's the starting block. That's the starting line. If you're running a race, you have to start somewhere. You start where the wound is. If you want to heal from a trauma, if you want to heal from something, you need to roll back to where it first started. When I was dealing with depression and anxiety and flashbacks and PTSD and all of that heaviness, I needed to roll back to where it first started. I had to think to myself, when was the first time I felt, and then whatever the situation was. Because for a very long time, it was hard for me to put a name on an emotion. Sad, glad, happy, they all felt the same. Frustrated, afraid, it all felt the same. And I remember talking to a counselor for a long time, and she said, give me a different word for this. And it was an emotion. And I remember just looking at her going, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are you making me face my emotions? Why are you making me face my wound? Why do we have to put a name on this issue? Can't I just push it down and ignore it and pretend like it didn't happen? I needed to face it. I needed to look that thing straight in the face, accept what had happened, release my energies around holding on to it, forgive and release the person that it happened with, as well as knowing that I needed to forgive and release myself. Again, back to the only a whisper away. When I think about when I first came up with the only a whisper away, you know what? That's our own consciousness too, our own intuition. It's just a whisper away. All you have to do is listen and pick up on it and not be afraid to go forward with it. Not be afraid of this wound. Because if you don't face it, it's going to get infected. It's going to fester. It's going to be with you for the rest of your life. So it's putting light where the pain is. And when I talk about this women's retreat that we're doing, one of the quotes that I put there is, each time women gather in circles, each one is healed a little bit more. And that was a quote, so I didn't want to change the quote, but I truly believe that when people gather together, I don't care male, female, whatever, when people gather together hand in hand and honestly speak their wound and have someone listening, the world heals a little bit more each day. that person one by one will heal. And when I'm looking at the retreat that we're doing, and that's October 16th through the 19th, I don't want the retreat to be looked at as just a grief retreat, because I want it to be one of those things where you find your inner goddess, you find your strength, you find a new friend, new fellowship to heal together. And then we have the supermoon on Thursday night, which is the opportunity to release the past and let go of what is holding you back. It's that symbol of feminine energy that signifies wisdom, strength, intuition, a spiritual connection. So through wounds, we get spiritually connected. And I mean, I've come to know several spiritual healers, several evidential mediums and psychics, and just people who have the woo-woo around them. And what I've noticed is that each and every one has some type of trauma in their background. We all have gone through things that we consider a trauma to ourselves, but there was some pivotal point in your life that changed the course of your life. And if you stay stuck in that, then you can't grow. Then you can't heal. It is facing that and healing together. So during the retreat that I'm doing, and we still have seats available. I know I keep going back and forth. It's in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. But we're going to be doing readings from the other side. We're going to have an open discussion about spirituality. Questions that the guests may have. And let me just tell you, I am not an authority on spirit. And I'm sure there are things that people are going to say to me that I'm going to go, wow, I never thought about it like that. Whereas the group grows and comes together, we're learning together. And with doing the, communing together in a house, talking and reading and meditating and a drum circle and, journaling and writing letters to ourselves and being there for each other, I'm sure that there will be wounds that appear that maybe that individual forgot about. And all of a sudden, because of something that we've talked about, oh my gosh, I forgot all about when this happened. And now it is their time to embrace it, to feel it, to recognize it, release it, and heal in the company of others. And I love when we do drum circles and the full moon release. When you can realign yourself, you're turning off technology, and you're getting back in sync with yourself. And it's not that I'm going to say to everyone who attends, turn your phones off, can't use your phones. It's not that, but I feel like every time I've done some type of a retreat, my phone and technologies are less and less important at that time, because my goal is to learn and heal and embrace and talk to others. Heal, right? Our intention for the retreat is so that you can regain focus on what's important to you, to find your way back home even after you're no longer there in Pigeon Forge, but to find your way back home while you're there, and then to take your home with you. For anyone who's ever had an angel card reading with me, there's this one card, and I think it is Oceana, that says you are in touch with the truth in this situation. And I always like to point out, Oceana, of course, is in the water, but there's this little turtle in the corner that I always like to point out, like the turtle energy. So with the turtle energy, Anywhere a turtle goes, it takes its shell with him. So its home is always going with him or her. Sometimes the turtle puts its head in, hides from the world, the legs are in, and spins around in a circle if it's hit, but it hides from the world. It's hibernating from the world. It's taking in and stepping back and deciding what it needs to do. Sometimes the turtle peeks its head out, looks around, coast is clear, legs come out, moves slowly. It's on its path that it's thought about while it was in the shell. And then sometimes the turtle gets whooshed into the water and swims quickly and fiercely because it's home. No matter where it goes, it takes its shell with him. It's home. And I know it outgrows its shell and it gets another shell. But the main thing is the shell is the boundary around it that protects what's inside of it. So sometimes you need to protect yourself and have a boundary of what you will allow people to say or to do or to be around you. And I've had to learn the hard way about boundaries because every time I let my wall down in certain situations, I get affected by it. I'm like, why did I let the boundary down? Just because I knew this person or because of this? But I have to look back and not really say shame on me. I have to say to myself, I had to learn a lesson. I had to have a wound for the light to come in. So when you disconnect from technology, when you disconnect from the world, from the news, from Facebook or social medias, however you want to say it, and you look eye to eye with someone, we've lost that. We've lost this connection this way. And I believe it was Rumi as well said that the eyes are a gateway to the soul. So when you're speaking to someone, it's looking in their eyes and noticing the color of their eyes. One of the podcasters who had said, stop talking and listen, also had said, when you're speaking to someone, look them in the eye. Look at the color of their eyes. It makes you more intent and more intentional to listen to what's being said. So when you disconnect from technology, when you disconnect from, the noise of the world, all of a sudden you tend to get clarity. One of the mediums that I know, when I went and did a class, last year sometime, she had just come back from a silence retreat. And I think it was a week long where she could not speak. She wasn't allowed to talk to anybody and nobody could talk to her. And she had this sign on her basically that said, don't talk to me. But the inner journey that she had and the revelations that she received, like she was able to peel back all of these things in silence, in meditation, in not being connected with other people's opinions. And I remember her saying about how difficult it was because even when she was making her way through the place that they were at, she kind of got lost and she wanted to stop and say to somebody, how do I get to so-and-so? But she had to stop, take a breath, look at her map. I can do this and figure it out herself. It's that deep journey. So gathering together in a circle with friends that you trust, allowing yourself to be silent sometimes and just listen, looking somebody in the eyes. Have you ever talked to someone and when you were talking to them, they weren't looking at you? To me, that's annoying. Look at me. Look at me. When I'm talking to you, look at me. And I know sometimes you have to veer off to the side to think. And when I channel, I'm usually not looking at the person. But I think to myself, am I really looking at their eyes or am I watching their body language? Probably watching their body language. Because I want to see if what they're telling me is true. So I've decided that now when I'm speaking to someone, I'm going to notice the color in their eyes. Maybe they have like the little black dots around their eyes, but I want to be intently listening. Because through their wisdom, the things that they're saying to me, I can heal. Or my listening helps them heal. Make sense? So even in the wound, that's the starting place of where the light shines. So during the retreat, we're going to work on generating helpful, creative solutions to help the people who attend have a better understanding of not just grief, but of wounds and of spiritual learning, of growing more, of being more present. You know, we're going to have specialized workshops on energy and angel cards, past life regressions, just a little bit of everything. So that my hope is that the people who come to the retreat leave with a better understanding of their own home. That they have a closer connection, a deeper love for their self and for the world around them. Make sense? So, we talked a little bit about the retreat, and like I said, we're going to be having open discussions about different things. We're going to be doing readings, past life regressions, spiritual toolbox, talking about crystals and stones and energy. One of the women that's coming, Karen, is a crystal Reiki healer. She's going to be talking about that during our full moon release. So it's just a time to come together, to learn, to relax, to heal, to put that light on the wound. And you know what? Journaling to me is the biggest part of this. So we're going to be meditating and journaling. And we're going to be dancing around the fire and beating the drums, you know? We're going to get woo-woo. But it's one of those things that I want to invite anyone who seems interested at all to click on the link below. The talks, I think it says M&M World Travel. M&M, gosh, it's Michelle handles that. Hold on. I know I put it in the comments. All right. I'll put it in the comments again. But why wouldn't you want to? Let's see. It says it is Intel Sparks landing page. But if this is something that interests you, get a group of women together. We still have space. And to me, it doesn't matter how many or how few people join us. The people who are there are the ones that need to be there. And we will grow and heal and learn together. And I am so excited about going to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, October 16th through the 19th. To live and to learn and to grow and to have this sacred circle grow together. To put the light on the wound and to heal from that. To pay attention to it. Maybe it's going to put some pressure on our coal that will turn it into diamonds. Sorry. So, I just want you to think about, Shelby, I know, I just found out that you were going. I'm so excited that you're going. So I want you to think about this podcast that I said that I was talking or listening to, where Kim Russo was saying the wound is the place where the light enters. And whatever your situation is in life, whatever your wound is, whatever regret you have, shine a light there and start healing it. Cleanse it just like you would a cut. Cleanse it. Go back to that moment in time. Think about it. Did I do the best that I could with the knowledge that I had at the time? Yeah, I think I did. All right, I forgive myself. I release myself. It was a stupid thing, but I've learned. If you think to yourself, I really hurt a lot of people, maybe you need to go back and have a conversation with those people. I don't care if it was a year ago. I don't care if it was 20 years ago. Maybe you need to get back and say, look, I don't know if you remember this situation or not, but it's been bothering me for a long time. I acted in such and such a way and did this, and I am really sorry that this happened. Can you forgive me? Maybe you're helping to heal someone else. Shining a light on the wound. Why are you hiding from the injury? It's a good thing to think about. Why are you hiding from it? because it's painful. I don't want to face it. Maybe I don't want to learn from it. Maybe I just want to forget it. But the more you try and forget it, the more it bubbles up within your spirit. And once you're able to walk through it and release it, all of a sudden this lightness will come over you where, oh my God, why was I holding on to that for so long? And if it comes back into your head, which it might, you know what? I released that. I forgave it. I'm not going back there again. And I've had certain situations, we've all had certain situations where we're in a relationship or a friendship with someone and they really cross the line and they really hurt us, and we forgive them and release them, and we wind up in the same freaking place again. Maybe what you want to do is forgive them and release them, and forgive yourself for allowing this to happen and say, I need a boundary. I need my turtle shell. I will no longer allow this person to speak to me this way, treat me this way. And I know there's this saying that people will treat you like you treat them or how you treat yourself. I don't always agree with that. But if you were speaking down to yourself and making yourself feel less than worthy and others are noticing that, then they might treat you the way that you're treating yourself. Start from that heart center, from the wound. What's hurting your heart? What's here? Where's your PTSD coming from? Where's your anxiety coming from? Where's your pain coming from? Where's your anger coming from? Where is your no trusting coming from? When did it first start? Why did it start? Go back to that circumstance. Write a letter to it. You made me feel this way, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And get it all out. When it's out of your head and it's on paper, it helps a lot. But here's the thing. Then burn the paper. If you keep the paper, it's still with you. When I went through a release, maybe 10 years ago, and I wrote a letter to a certain individual, and then I went out to the fire that my husband so lovingly built for me, and then left me alone. And I prayed about it, and I cried about it, and it was hard to throw those papers in the fire because I needed proof that this person did this to me. And then I thought, why do I need proof of it? They know what they did. I know what I did. I know what they did to me. Why do I need proof of it? Burn that shit. And I gave it to God. I gave it to the universe. It was no longer mine. I made sure every little piece of paper to that burnt. And when it would come back into my head, I was like, it's not mine anymore. I gave that to God. I gave that to the universe. It is not mine anymore. I have been released from it. And it took a while. And every once in a while it still pops up. But it's part of that release. And that's one of the things that we're going to be doing as well. Okay? So, I believe that if you've never read anything by Rumi, it's R-U-M-I. Maybe watch something on that. If this particular quote strikes a chord with you, look it up. See what it means. If those lyrics from Switchfoot hit a chord with you, like, oh my God, I never thought about it. And the lyrics were, don't hide your wounds. The wounds are where your light shines. You're a version of yourself, but you're not the same. It speaks about embracing the truth and the brokenness in humanity. The darkness has the brightest shining star. Just, even if you Googled that sentence that says, the wound is where the light shines, or the wound is where the light starts. See everything that you can read about that and see what resonates with you. I am such a proponent of reading and learning other people's points of view. Doesn't mean they're right, and I need to change my point of view. But it may broaden what my point of view is, where I'm like, ooh. I mean, I finished Tony Stockwell's book Sunday night, I guess it was. And it was talking about walking with the angels and some of his different experiences. And it was so interesting, the different things that, he's encountered. And then the last chapter was all on forgiveness. Now here's a book all on angels and all on spirit and how he grew. And the whole last chapter is on forgiveness. And I felt like that freaking chapter was speaking to me. And I wanted to see if somebody else had this book and say, what's that last chapter about? Because everything that he was, I felt like he was talking to me. Oh, it's 11:11. No such thing as coincidences. So I'm working on other forgiveness and other things that I need to work through in order to be a better version of myself, in order to let my light shine in and shine out. Some of the pressure that I have been under has made diamonds in things. And I have to kind of look at that. When I think to myself, why did I have to go through this? Why do people have to go through this? It's not necessarily for me to question why. There's always a reason. But when I look for the light that glistened at the end of the journey of what I have learned, of what wisdom I partook, can share, there's a reason. I may not necessarily know what the reason is, and I don't need to know what the reason is. I just need to know that there is light on the wound that I have, and that's my starting place in order to heal. So that is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. I'm Evidential Medium Stacy Niedenthal. I come to you every Tuesday at 10:30, and we talk about different subjects. This subject kind of came to me while I was driving, and it just kind of evolved. The things that I've spoken about weren't necessarily on my notes. Some were, some weren't. But I hope that a part of this resonated with you to a point where you're like, you know what? I don't need to be wounded anymore. I need to heal. I'm going to shine the light in that area, pay attention to it, nurture it, cleanse it, and heal. All right, guys. I hope you have a great and wonderful day. Tuesday Talks at 10:30. Evidential Medium Stacy Niedenthal. As always, I pray that you're living the life you love. You're loving the life you live. If not, you're the only one that can change it. If you're interested in coming along with us to the women's retreat, give me a shout. Click on that link and find out more. All right, I'll see you next week. Peace out. I love you. New things are coming. Watch the events. Share the page. Get in touch with me, and I'll talk to you later. All right, guys. Peace.